In this video, I'm going to show you how the experts put in risers for a grade change to an elevated position on a model railroad. Do you know any experts? Well, hey, rail fans, welcome back to my hobby room and to the Brown-Smith Railroad, where today what we're gonna do is attempt to put in a grade change with some risers that'll get us up to where the coal mine and logging camp are gonna be, plus way down at the end, we're gonna have a turnaround loop. I'll show you that kind of stuff later. If you've been watching my videos, you know I've got this receptacle right here that's been kind of an issue that we've managed to get by, but that's gonna determine the elevation we have back here. It sits about 3.5 inches off the deck. We're gonna call it 4 inches just to have some wiggle room. Well, here's the deal. From here to the end is 8 feet, and a 2% grade is a 1/4 inch a foot, plus or minus, all right? So 8 feet, 1/4 inch a foot, you end up with what, 2 inches is all you can get out of it on a 2% grade. On a 4% grade, you can go a 1/2 inch a foot. And that's kind of what I'm gonna do. Now, if you watched a video I made some time ago, experimenting with a 5% grade, you know that that's just a fool's errand. 5% grade is just too extreme. Even for my little 2-truck shade that can handle steep grade. So I'm gonna try to get this done with a 4% grade and see how that goes. The first thing I need to do though is get you over here and we're gonna take some measurements so we know how to cut out what we're gonna use. All right, so the first thing I'll do here is measure out how far it is to where the backdrop turns, and as you can see here, that's 6 feet. Then we just, for the heck of it, measure out from the backdrop to the front of the layout. As you can see, this is 23 3/4 inches. Well, that's not 24, is it? Okay, to get started, what we're gonna do is use this piece of tempered hardboard I had left over from the backdrop. It's 2 feet wide with a straight edge on it. And 2 feet's more than we need based on what we just measured. So first thing I wanna do is I'm gonna measure out that 6 feet to see where the arc starts. So is get my tape measure, pull it out to 6 feet, and then just make a mark with my Sharpie. Right there, boom, 6 feet. Then come out 23.5 inches. Well, not 23.5. We're going and put a mark there. Then what I want to do is find the center of my radius. Now 23.5. Then let's call it 23, right? For some safety. So 23, half of 23 is 12.5. Easy enough. I'll just put that right here. And that's going to give us the center point for the arc for the radius. Now I'm going to just do something I just invented on the fly to make that arc. Check this out. I'm gonna take this drill bit I have in a pin vise right here and just sort of make an indentation so it kind of stays in place. Kind of like that. And then the idea is to put the square right there and just spin it around like that. Now, I've never done this before, so this is pretty much just me flying by the seat of my pants. Let's see if it works. Pin vise is in the hole. Just square up there. Let's see how this goes. Okay, it's going good down here, but up here I got to kind of hold the Sharpie where it needs to be. 12.5 inches. Something went wrong. 12.5 inches. Well, as you probably picked up on earlier, 12.5 is not half of 23. It's half of 25. So I made this kind of squirrely arc with the wrong dimension. So let's try that again at 11.5 inches, shall we? Okay, so after I made that little correction, things seem to be laying out nicely. Let me take you on a quick tour of all the other marks that I made. Over here, this is where I'm gonna start the grade. And about a foot into it, I'm at a 1/2 inch, and then another foot, I'm at 1 inch, etc. Okay. As the grade comes up and around, it's a pretty tight space. Not sure we can do much there with industries, but I'm thinking about maybe raising the elevation on some styrofoam, putting like a town in there, just something scenic, something to model. As we get around to the end of the arc, into the turn, I'm gonna flatten out. And here's why. I wanna go flat into a turnout and then flat off that turnout, because I've learned turnouts on a grade or grades abutting a turnout just tend to warp the turnout and screw it up. So you can see here, I've got about 6 inches of flat, then my turnout, but then I've got another 12 inches of flat. That 12 inches of flat is where I'm gonna stage the cars I'm switching out of the coal mine. Can't very well have them running back down around the track, right? So I got that 12 inches, and then the main grade continues from there, ending at about 3 3/4 at the end. The bridge will make up the distance after the difference after that, and we'll come up over that receptacle. Anyway, the coal mine, the reason I've got this line there is what I want to do, and you'll see as I move forward, I'm going to go ahead and elevate that sharply and make it higher than the main line that I've got. We're going to see how that develops moving forward. Now what I'm going to do is get my jigsaw out and cut along those black lines, and we'll take it back over to the benchwork and just see how it fits. All right, so I've got a cutout back up on the layout. So let's just see what we can do now to make it elevate a little bit. Well, I've got the risers in, and I used leftover plywood to do that. This is actually not a 1/2 inch, which is what I was figuring on. It's a little closer to 5/8. Now, before you blow up my comments with, you know, they make this styrofoam crap that you can use to do that, I get it. I've seen it. I was thinking about buying it, but I've got all this material left over, and so why not just use that? Plus, it gives me a little more control over my grade change and stuff like that. I can move stuff around, get what I want. But like I said, this is 5/8 thick, not a 1/2 inch. And so I did a little loose math in my head, because that's the only kind of math I can do in my head. And I came up with something like 4 1/4% grade, something like that. But just eyeballing it, I've ran trains, long trains, up steeper grades than this, and they didn't have a problem. So I think I'm gonna be okay. What's next is to take a bunch of these, glue them together, and glue them to the benchwork, and let that set up, then screw the elevated deck right down to that to hold it in place. Well, there you go. That's how the regular guy does it. I guess that's good. Yeah, whatever, sorry. You know, I'm gonna let that glue dry, and then run some screws in there to hold the benchwork down, hold the grade change down, and then I'm already at the level I need to be, the elevation. I can just extend that all the way down to the logging camp. That's gonna be pretty awesome. But I'm gonna be real with you. One of my worst, there's two things I don't enjoy about model railroading. One of them is bench work, but without no bench work, you don't get no choo-choos, baby. You know what I'm saying? You gotta do this part, and this is my solution for it. We'll see how it comes out. Second favorite thing, is doing the electrical. I hate soldering. If you guys know that, I hate soldering. I'm no good at it. I've watched videos on it, I've practiced. Not great. Add soldering. Anyway, I'm gonna finish this up and then we'll come back for a recap and then move on to whatever's next. Well, okay, I'll be honest with you. The rest that I didn't shoot a whole lot of video for because, frankly, this is not the exciting part of doing this, all right? I showed you how I made the risers over there. Back here, I did a little differently. I just took some 2x3s, 2x4s, cut them to the right length, and made the risers for the upper deck. By the way, I didn't screw this piece down yet because it sits on top of a turnaround loop. I want to lay the track before it's too hard to get to. One thing I did do back here, let me show you this. Even though I've got access from behind and from in front for the turnaround loop, I still wanted some more access to get in there for derailments, cleaning the track, or whatever else. Although I've come to terms with the fact that if that track ever goes bad, I'm kind of screwed. It's going to be very tough to lay new track under this, but hopefully I'll get it right the first time. But anyway, to give me some access maybe from below, I marked and cut out a piece of the subtop. Now, what I did is I put the radius in, or I drew the radius, figured out where it's going to be, and allowed 3 inches on either side of that, so that if a car falls off the track, it doesn't just fall to its peril on the garage floor. It'll fall off on that subtop and I can get to it. Plus, it's big enough I can kind of get my head up in and look around like that and see what's going on. So I figure it's dead space anyway. Why not do it? Something else I'll show you real quick. Over there where I've got my coal mine, I made that change in elevation because I thought that was gonna be like a cool look. It's not. It's just kind of a pain in the buttocks, frankly, and I don't think I need it. So between now and the next time I see you, I'm gonna just knock out some of those pieces of wood or something and flatten that out. And then what'll happen is the main line will just come up around that coal loader and everything will be hunky-dory back there. Something else here, got to figure out what I'm going to do with my bridges before I can lay my track. We'll have to see how that goes. But for the next video, what I think I want to do is go ahead and seal these seams up on the backdrop and put some drywall mud, sand it. I'll get that done before I put the track in because even though I'm the regular guy, don't want to get a bunch of drywall mud on my track unnecessarily. So I'll see if we can do that in the next video. I've already bought the track. I've got the cork road bed. I've got the turnouts. Let me tell you about the turnouts real quick. I did a little dreaming here, okay? Because if you know me, you know that I can do a track plan, and for some reason it never works out. So I just got to lay stuff out to see how it looks. And that's what I've done. I've got basically enough turnouts where I can get a complete loop of track around here, and then I got my runaround tracks, which on that note, none of these trains are gonna have anything more than maybe 6 40-foot cars. That's about the max. It's not designed for anything longer than that. So I need to have some runarounds that can handle that. Back here, I'm gonna use this piece of track, piece of track as an interchange track, so we can have a little fun with that. So anyway, that's the kind of stuff that's coming up moving forward, but thank you for being here in my hobby room today. I sure had a ton of fun working on this. Hope you had a good time hanging out with me. And until I see you again, my name is Steve Brown, and rail on, my friends.